How's it going, humans, and welcome back to this amazing cabinet build. So last time we made some cabinets, we made some boxes, we made a thingamadoo. Now it's time to put on the finishing touches, get them all skinned and poplar, painted, and maybe finished. We'll see how it goes. So the next step in this process was to get everything all clamped together so I can figure out where I was gonna put my decorative poplar accent pieces. That's what we'll call them. The decoration on the side, and also where to put the shelf for the outer cabinets, if that makes sense. This thing right here, this shelf. So with the shelves in place, the next thing to do was attach all my poplar for these pretty accent pieces. One pencil. Everything else goes. I also did add veneer to this piece, whatever we want to call it, because it is the only one not getting faced in poplar. Oh, it sprayed me. Yeah. You just got squirted on. So be careful what buttons you push, or you might get a little wet when dealing with an iron. See? I think it's distilled. So with my veneer successfully ironed on and nothing else getting too wet, I trimmed it all up, and then I was able to carry on putting on my fancy border face frame, side frame accent pieces. So to do that, I did put some glue on the back, even though I didn't sand the outsides first, which I should have, because later you'll see, but I don't know if the glue's gonna do anything because the glue doesn't stick to these pre-finished cabinets like I found out earlier. I just still wanted to put some glue on because why not? What's the worst that can happen? So with the accent pieces all attached and the cabinet stood back up, the next thing I had to do was use another tool I've never used before. And it's this Craig shelf pin kit, which was amazing. So in order to make sure I drilled my holes level, first I leveled out my cabinet, and then I turned on my laser level, and this gave me a nice, straight, level line to work with. Now, I will say I don't suggest using this technique. This is an advanced laser level technique where you close your eyes, or one eye, as the laser is pointing at your face. So unless you're an expert, don't do this. Just don't do this. So with my jig clamped onto my starting line, this was a really simple process. You just drilled a hole, moved the jig up, there's an indexing pin that you slide in place, drill a couple more holes at the spacing you want, and move it up again, and just continue till you're done. It was pretty sweet, and definitely a good tool. Like, we're at 1 out of 3 today on useful new tools, it seems. So with about 1.5 million holes drilled, the next thing to do was cut down some plywood for the back panels and get those nailed on. So with that securely fastened, the next thing to do was trim it all up with a flush trim router bit, and then do the same thing on the other cabinet, because what you do to one, you have to do to the other. Except this one's a little bit different. So on this one, I'm not covering this bottom cabinet thing because there's gonna be an electrical outlet right behind here. And in this cabinet, I'm gonna hide a printer and some lights, and I need it to access power. And this is just the easiest way to get to that outlet.
Oh no! Oh no! You okay?
That's pretty scary. So with my camera righted again, the last thing to do was put the backer piece on the whatchamacallit thingamadoo. And with that taken care of, I could now finish adding some of these trim pieces, face frame, poplar bits, mainly because I ran out of wood earlier and I had to buy more and mill it all down. So now I can finish popping this on and make these cabinets look a little more professional. Professional. Who am I kidding? For those of you that have been around for a while, you'll know this is me being professional. So professional. What am I even doing? So with your minds all in the gutter, the last thing to do to prep before sanding is fill all of my little nail holes, and I also rubbed some wood filler along this veneer line to make everything all nice and flat and even for the paint. So with the tops of the cabinet all sanded and good to go, I then took everything apart and flipped it all over on its side because it was time to do the exact same thing all over again. So with that, I probably should have taken a break, but I had more sanding to do. So with the poplar, nail hole, wood filler things all sanded flush, the next thing I did is something I should have done before I put all these accent pieces on. And that was sanding all of the flat plywood that has this pre-finished finish. Now, later, I read the primer can and it said it would go over any surface and stick to anything. But I didn't know this at the time, so I sanded it. Like a fool. Like a fool. But that's all part of the learning experience. And let me tell you, I've learned to read the instructions. Sometimes. But next time, I'm definitely going to read the primer can instructions to see if I'm wasting my time sanding. So I left the fan on all night, which is actually probably a good thing because there's no dust in here. And everybody knows that you don't want any dust when you're painting. Everybody also knows that it's good to wrap stuff in plastic first so you don't get paint everywhere. So with my drop cloth all laid out under my cabinets, I could then mix up my primer and get down to business. That took a long time. Now that one. Better. Woo! Still got this to go. So let's prime this. I have so much respect for people who paint furniture. Oh man, it's only the first coat of primer. This is brutal. It's been like 4 hours. Who thought priming would take so long? I think I'm doing 1 coat of primer because this is insane. The paint has primer in it, so fuck around, find out. Let's see what happens. Priming sucks. Painting, let's do that. So yeah, priming really does suck. I don't know why it took so long, but it took a really long time. Almost about as long as it took to sand it. No, that's a lie, it took longer to paint it. I just did a very light sand. And then, it was finally time to paint. Yeah, I got a green boob. Next. Show you when I'm done. Painting sucks, guys. That's the back. Goes against the wall. Doesn't need to be painted. So much painting. 1 coat on. 2nd coat tomorrow. I need to buy more paint. But we're gonna need to pick all that up next time because we need to install some floors first. Otherwise, these cabinets aren't gonna have anything to stand on. I also need to get legs. So stick around for the next episode and see if I actually was able to install my floors or if I ran short of boards because Home Depot didn't give me everything they promised. So thanks for checking out this video, and I swear, next time these cabinets are going in the room, getting bolted to the wall, and they're gonna be beautiful. So I hope you all have a wonderful day. We'll catch you next time.